Hello, my name is Rochelle Tan, and I'm a solution trained engineer from Chevron's IT Foundation platform. And I'm here today to talk about how even large enterprises, just like Chevron, need to be agile. Let's begin. Now, I'd like you to join me by creating that mental picture in your mind, or if you have a pen or paper, please feel free to use that. I have some questions to ask, and I'd like you to answer it based on your personal experience or preference. The first question is, think about a habit or routine that you have. Maybe you're the type of person who has to have that first cup of coffee before doing anything else. Or you could be that person who has to check the windows, the doors, before you step out of the house or before going to bed. Is it a midday walk that you have to have? Or maybe a snack that you take just before going to bed? Now, the second question is, how long have you been doing this? Has it just been days? Has it been months, years, 5 years, 10 years, or maybe 30 years, all your life? Now, the third question I'd like to ask is, try to recall of how or what triggered you to start it or try it. Did somebody ask you to take that sip of coffee just to try it out and you liked it? Or did you have a late night at school or at work or for whatever reason that got you hooked on coffee? Or did you have a bad experience and so now you have to check the windows and the doors? Or was it for health reasons that you have to have that walk or that snack just before going to bed? So take note of that, write that down. The last question is, think about how easy or how hard it was to get started into getting into that habit. Did you do it for health or safety reasons? Was it from peer pressure? Now, I hope you had an opportunity and the time to take note of that, the answers to the questions that I've just asked. So now I come here today in front of you to tell you to stop right away, to stop that routine, to stop that habit. That coffee that you've been taking is not good for you. I'm telling you that caffeine is hurting your blood circulation, and with your pre-existing conditions, you should stop and take decaf, herbal tea, or mushroom or mud coffee, because that's what's good for you, and it's gonna help you get better day after day. Now, do you think that's a compelling reason enough for you to act on it? I'm literally standing in front of you telling you that what you're doing right now is not working or it's harmful for you and it's wrong. So you have to get rid of it and get on to finding an alternative or doing something else. I'm giving you a trigger, a cue to change your behavior. So it's up to you now to decide, am I giving you a good enough reason, a compelling reason to act on it? And how do you act on it? How do you react to it? What steps would you take? Would you ignore it? Would you actually take action? And what are if you're going to take action, what are the different steps that you would take in order to develop a new habit, a new routine that would be better for you? Now you might be asking yourself, what does that have to do with Chevron or large enterprises needing to be agile? Well, it has everything to do with it. Because about 3 years ago, we found ourselves in Chevron asking ourselves those questions. We knew that we had a lot of legacy practices, legacy systems, legacy processes, which had good reasons of why we implemented them or are using them. But it was now becoming obsolete. It wasn't helping us accelerate. It wasn't helping us move as fast as what our customers are expecting us to do and to react to the needs of the market. So it was a very compelling reason for us to step back, take a step back and ask ourselves, hey, what do we have to do, right? The upkeep of these legacy systems is surmounting, and the benefits that they bring in is not outweighing the cost. So Chevron, recognizing this, they thought to themselves, it's not even a question of whether we should change or not. The reaction and the mindset taken was, we need to change. The question now is how fast, when do we change? How fast can we react to it? We had no choice. The signs were clear. If we did not act fast enough, it was going to be detrimental to the business. We run the risk of being insignificant and becoming obsolete. And eventually, the worst thing is to go out of business, which we didn't want to happen. And so we realized that we had to take some drastic measures. We needed a digital transformation. And a digital transformation for Chevron translated to being more agile, taking advantage of the agile methodologies to allow us to move and pivot faster. At the same time, we had to leverage technology in order to accelerate the work that we were doing. One of the things that we did was leveraging the cloud. So we had legacy systems that we had to decide whether to deprecate or migrate to the cloud. We also had to look at what practices we had that were not working anymore. We do away with them, or maybe we adjust them so that they actually support the acceleration of the work as opposed to being a roadblock or a hindrance. The other important thing that we realized is that although we are a big organization, nowadays there's no such thing as too big to fail. We can still operate and leverage the scale that we had, but at the same time, we also had to learn how to operate like a startup company, a nimble startup company. So if you're familiar with the oil and gas industry, a lot of the work that we do is surrounded around engineering projects. Now in Chevron, we recognize that these engineering projects are very waterfall, which makes sense. They have to operate in that fashion because that's what works, that's what's effective. But it doesn't mean that we cannot apply agility into the type of work that we do. In Chevron, just to give you some examples, is we've leveraged data analytics, where we took advantage of using APIs to establish a shared data environment or shared model, which allowed us to get data when we needed it in order to accelerate the effort, our engineering exploration efforts, and making it more cost efficient and cost effective to operate. The other thing that we did was in line with safety practices. So we implemented a VR or virtual reality system that allowed our refineries to take advantage of this technology to train new and existing team members by simulating certain scenarios such as earthquakes, fires, or any malfunction in order to train our team members to develop that skill and that mindset to better prepare them if the real situation did occur. Chevron believes that a big portion or a big part of our operation is touched and influenced by technology. So we started the change within IT. We had identified that we had existing processes, tools, legacy systems, which were no longer effective. It had to change. So that was our trigger, the realization and recognition that we need to change our old ways, old practices that ran the risk of overspending with a slow market delivery. So Chevron identified multiple opportunities that would benefit from a digital transformation. One of the big change that we did was consolidation of the IT services across the different business units into what we now call digital platforms in Chevron. And you might be wondering, why did you consolidate? Why did you have to do things centrally? Well, we had multiple solutions that existed in different forms and different ways in the different 40 plus business units that we had. And so just imagine a big organization if you had even 10 or 5 different groups that operated their own IT operation, their own HR, their own finance, and so on and so forth. To consolidate or work and streamline the process, it was very difficult. Everyone had their own process, had their own tools, had their own systems going. And there was a lot of, this translated to redundant work that was done by different people that served the same purpose. So the answer was streamlining and simplifying the operating model. This made things easier and at the same time more cost effective, allowing Chevron to focus more on its main line of business, which is oil and gas. So one of the biggest consolidation in relation to this scenario that I just shared is IT. So I'm going to share with you specifically the transformation that occurred within my platform, which is the IT Foundation platform. We have consolidated 9 different product lines made up of 1,100 team members. So you have in there network operations technology, workforce enablement, cloud, you have security, you have IT service operations, so on and so forth. This was to cater to all the IT needs within the other digital platforms like HR IT, law IT, corporate affairs, and at the same time to cater to the specific needs of our business unit in terms of networks, operation technology, and workforce enablement. We have a customer base of about 100 odd something thousand customers across Chevron, across the globe. So now we are faced with so many questions. We knew that we had to come together, but at the same time, each of us already had existing processes, tools, even within that 9 IT product lines that I've just mentioned. So how do we come together as a group? We couldn't accommodate all 9 work intake tools, 9 work intake processes, 9 work item management tool, and 9 different methodologies. So we had to come together. It is a journey, and we're still refining that as we go along. But what I'm happy to say is that we identified the main challenges that we had to face or we had to tackle in order to overcome the challenges of coming together as one team. I'm narrowing it down to 3 major challenges that we've identified. The first one is our teaming. We realized that we were all operating in a siloed teams or organization, and we were now coming together so that there is close collaboration and simplification of the service and work that we provide to our internal clients, IT clients within Chevron. There's also the need to shift, right? To have that mindset shift. It wasn't enough for us to just have that team to say that, oh, we're now one team. We used to be different siloed organizations. We're now coming together. It's written in paper. No, it goes beyond that. There's something more fundamental than just renaming processes, tools, or saying that we are a team. We wanted to change how we did the work. We wanted to be more agile about how we did the work. And so we wanted to take that different perspective by embodying that mindset shift of being more customer centric, of not being afraid to fail, because failure is seen as an opportunity to learn as opposed to a reason for reprimand or punishment. The last thing we identified is sustainability. It wasn't enough that we were coming together as teams. It wasn't enough that we would say that, oh, now we're more customer focused. We have a new way of working. What was important is that it wasn't a one-time thing where we just say, hey, we have reached our goal. This is the finish line. We're done. No. What was important to us was that we continuously practice and continuously improve on what we were doing because we were here for the long haul. So what we realized was important for us was we had to come together as teams from silo to collaborative and sync teams where we synchronized our work. We had to make sure that we embodied that mindset shift because that, for whatever scenario or situation we face, it's important that our mindset, or we embody that right mindset, because that would drive the decisions and the behavior that we take and embark on. And last but not the least, it's not enough to just say that, okay, I've done it. I'm now agile. I'm now part of this team. We're now consolidated. My work is done. And I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing until I retire, or maybe until we deprecate the tool that I'm supporting. No, what's important is that we create a sustainable environment that continuously embody that right mindset and that urge and desire to learn and grow and to continuously improve and get better day after day. I'd like to tackle and expand on each of the challenges that we had to face in going through our digital transformation within Chevron's IT foundation platform. So the first one is teaming. We were siloed teams that had to come together to form 9 product lines within one platform, catering to 100,000 of customers across different regions all over the world. When we came together, each of us thought that we had the best processes, we already had existing tools, forms, practices, which we thought was the best. So, how do we decide which one takes precedence, or which one do we keep, and which one do we have to let go? Because we cannot have 9 work intake forms, we cannot have 9 different processes if we were to operate as one team, or 9 work item management systems. So that alone was a very big endeavor for us to come together. So we came together and discussed and collaborated. I must admit, we're still in the process of having what we would call a one-stop shop solution, not just for us within the platform, but also for our customers. But what we've accomplished is that we've agreed on one framework, which is Scaled Agile Framework. We agreed to a common work taxonomy. We follow the Agile taxonomy, where we use work items in the hierarchy of strategic themes that's made up of portfolio epics and program or product line epics. We also have features, stories, enablers, and tasks underneath that. And within the stories, they could be categorized as user stories, as bugs, as requests. There's a mixture of different things. The other thing that we agreed to is the common work item management system. So instead of having different areas or sources of records, we have one consolidated source of truth of where the work is happening, what type of work we are doing. And so it made it easy for us to review the type of work that we're doing, which one was more important, so help us with the prioritization and alignment and create the visibility, not just within our product lines, but all across the platform. We also had to agree on our cadence because we couldn't just operate on our own schedule. We had to converge and diverge. So we allowed autonomy within the teams to operate, but at the same time, we had to put in some guardrails. So we operate in a common cadence where we can, so that allows us to diverge, but we converge on a quarterly basis. In addition to that, we also allow the autonomy to do the work. So to be able to do and manage the synchronization of the work, but with the ability to have the independence, or for the teams to feel empowered to do the work the way they think is best, is we apply a common vision, we agree on a common vision, and we translate that into something more measurable and more concrete for our team members in the form of OKRs, or objectives and key results. So as you can see, to come together as a team, we came together as different silos, but we broke down those silos to say, we're now together. And so we had to have some commonality, but we still give each other the autonomy to do the work, given that there is purpose and reason and variances in the way or the nature of the services and products that we provide to our customers. The second challenge that we had was we realized that even with the common cadence, common work intake form, and the common taxonomy that we have, common tools and processes, it wasn't enough. There was something more fundamental that was essential for our success, to be truly agile and to accelerate the transformation that we were aiming towards. We realized that it was essential for each of us to embody that new mindset, that agile mindset, a new perspective of doing the work, where we see failure as an opportunity to learn and grow, instead of being a reason to fear, failure to be reprimanded or punished. In addition to that, we took this customer-centric approach. So in the past, there is this saying of, build and they will come. Well, that's not true anymore. What's most important is you go close to your customer, you work closely with them, and actually find out what is it really that they need, and those are the things that you build. Do not make assumptions. Rather, you work with your customers, you bring them closer to you, and you have a good feedback loop so that your customers are able to provide input as the work is progressing. No longer do we apply where we take the requirements, we go away for months or a year, and then we come back and say, hey, did you remember 12 months ago we were talking about this great idea? Now I have something to show you. Just for your customers to tell you while you're demoing the work that it isn't what they've asked for, or the need has already changed. So to avoid waste and avoiding low morale, we want to make sure that there's that good collaboration and a good feedback loop so that we're continuously evolving and adjusting as the needs of our customers change, as the business needs changes. And that's how you deliver true value to the customers. The challenge here is that we don't want people, or we didn't want our team members to just learn by, sending them to training and say, hey, I'm now agile because I went through training, or by following the cadence, by using the tools that's provided to me, I'm agile. No, it has to go deeper than that. It has to be like a habit or routine that you have where you don't even think about it, but because you have that mindset, you have that perspective, that your decisions and the way you operate, the way you interact is driven by that new mindset, that agile mindset, the customer-centric approach, the fail fast to learn approach, and the need to continuously learn and evolve, where you don't have to perfect everything in one big bang. We can always build small and continuously iterate. Last but not the least is sustainability. As I've mentioned earlier, it's not enough for us to say that we're agile or we've already reached our goal. We're now agile. I am done. I am finished. I've reached the finish line. No, that is not what being agile is all about. As I've mentioned, the business changes, right? Our customers' needs change. What's more important is that we're not only doing this as a one-time thing. As I've said, it's not a target, an end goal. Agility and being able to pivot and continuously serve and taking that customer-centric approach in order to deliver value to our customers is a journey. You continuously improve, you develop skill sets where, because you have that mindset, whatever you're doing comes naturally, right? You're not forced to do something. That's why you're becoming or adopting to agile methodologies, or you're adopting to the new way of working. Rather, it's innate in you. That's what comes naturally, just like a habit, a routine, right? That's embedded in you, where you don't even have to think about it, because that's what drives you on how you make decisions, how you operate. It's because you have the right mindset, you have the right teams, your teaming approach, that you're able to sustain the way of this new way of doing the work, this new way of operating. We believe in putting together or keeping long-lasting teams. No longer do we bring the people to the work, rather we bring the work to the people. So just imagine this scenario. If a person like myself, I go to a new group. So say it's a new event in my kids' school. I go in, I meet the new parents, we get to know each other, we chat. I'm pretty social, but in every situation, new people I meet, I kind of have to get a feel first, right? Who are the folks I'm talking with? What do they want to talk about? Who are they? But as I spend more time with them and they spend more time with me, we get to know each other. We become more comfortable. Same with teams. If you keep long lasting teams, they do not have to keep changing groups or changing the people that they work with. They get comfortable with the people that they've been working with for a long period of time. They know their quirks. They know what works and what doesn't work. They also have they build that trend, and from historical information they get a sense of what they can accommodate and what capacity they have, and create that consistent, quarter by quarter, or for every cadence that we have, they know what they can accommodate. This also creates a way to communicate a more predictable and consistent way of delivery to our customers, because we understand and we have confidence on what we're able to accommodate. Thus, we can make a commitment to our customers of what they can expect for the agreed period of time. Sustainability is important because this is how we create a practice that will enable each team member, each team, and the whole organization to grow, be more agile, and to attain that enterprise business agility that allows us to thrive in this very demanding environment that we have. At this time, I'd like to circle back on what we discussed earlier today in our session. So we looked at our personal habits and routines. From that point, we realized that it's not so easy for us to shift or change. But we also know that there are some situations where it calls for it. So what's important is that we embody the right mindset so that we're cognizant to recognize when that need or shift is essential. Just like in Chevron, as we evaluated and assessed the situation, we realized that we had so many legacy practices, legacy systems, and tools that used to be beneficial for us, but now needed a change, a big change, a digital transformation. This allowed us to evaluate and see what are the things that needed to change, who are the right players for us to work with, and as a group, we come together and collaborate. Now, we cannot predict what will happen in the future, but what's important is we have the right mindset, that agile mindset, where we recognize we're able to assess the situation and we're able to take the necessary steps in order to emulate the right behaviors, thus implementing the right habits or routines, which is translated into maybe processes, tools, frameworks that will help us in our effort to drive towards value delivery for our customers. We're fortunate enough in Chevron that we have very supportive leaders who don't only say that they want to practice Agile, but they actually do it. Here in Chevron, we recognize, our leaders recognize that we have people need the autonomy to do the work. At the same time, people are not afraid to try things out because there is no fear of failure, since failure is seen as an opportunity for learning and not as a reason for punishment or reprimand. Here in Chevron, we also recognize that as we go through this change and continuously improve, we cannot just rely on ourselves. We do partner with experts, agile experts, lean agile change agents who help accelerate the effort in as we improve and make things better over time. So remember, what's most important is having the right mindset, and that will help you in being able to respond to the ever-changing needs of the business and our customers. Thank you. Here are some recommended reads and references. There are a wealth of information out there in the internet. There are a lot of articles and books that discuss about agility, what motivates people, and on digital transformation. At the same time, I am sharing my information for us to connect. I would love to explore any ideas or thoughts that you may have about these topics or anything related to transformation, agility, and motivation. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'd like to invite you at this time to please join me in this live Q&A session. There is a link in the bottom of this video called Subsession where you can post your questions and we will address them. At the same time, I'd like to ask at the end of this session to please take note of the survey that will be shown. There's a link to the survey. Please do click that survey and take the time to respond to it because it will help the organizers and get your feedback so that they can continuously improve and make things better for this conference. Thanks for joining us.